Hello, and welcome to BSB Must Reads, where we share with you all the books you must be reading this month. And today I have with me, a little late, but making a grand entrance, Ullrich. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Sandy. How are you?
I'm good. And we just came back from Women's Week in Provincetown.
Yes.
Did you have a good time?
Yep. Oh, a fantastic time. I love that sleepy little town, and I love getting a chance to just be surrounded by all of my fellow writers and just talking shop and getting Scott Cakes cupcakes.
Oh,
It's the best part.
tell me about it. I
Must.
don't think I've ever had one.
Really? Okay, have you noticed in P-Town when you're walking around, people walking around with the pink bakery boxes? Have you seen any of those? Okay, so Scott Cakes is all he sells is one kind of cupcake, big and mini. And all it is a yellow cupcake with pink icing. But when I say it's one of the best yellow cupcakes I've ever had with
Wow.
this pink, it's almost like a cream cheese frosting, but it's not as like strong as a true cream. They're so good, and that's all he sells, and he manages to stay in business. So if you are in P-Town, you have to get, if you buy 5, you get a 6th free. So you may as well just go for 6. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
there's really nothing else on the menu, just this one kind of cupcake.
Just what you walk in and they have the regular size and then the mini size, and that's it.
Is
That's it.
there coffee? Is there
Nope. Just cupcakes. And everybody in there wears pink. It must be his color. I got there the first night I had one, and then I left and I brought 6 home.
Wow.
They are so good.
Okay, well,
Next year.
next year we're gonna go for
You
cupcakes.
have to. Yeah, definitely.
All right,
Happily.
let's get back to the book. You are here to share with us the laws of magic.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, just in case readers haven't met you yet, and then a little bit about the laws of magic, and you have a reading for us.
Yes, I do. All right. So I'm Emma Ullrich. I come from the New Jersey shore, where it is beautiful in the summer, cold in the winter, and completely overrun with road rage 95% of the time. I live here with my family, my girlfriend, our little fur animals. I love to bake and cook, and I like to get artsy with all different kinds of mediums, and I work in the optical field full time. And my free time I spend on all the artsy creative stuff, especially writing. And my latest book, which I believe is my 11th, is The Laws of Magic. I love this cover. It's my favorite cover yet. It is a book about Isla Hoffman, who is a witch, and owns her own apothecary in the town of Bender, Massachusetts. And Lou Cadman, who is the dashing butch security guard who patrols the strip mall that Isla's apothecary and her attached apartment are located. And it's the story of them getting to know each other and knowing that they have a connection, and they can't quite put their finger on it, but it's attraction, it's emotional, and Isla doesn't believe Lou would be able to handle the truth of who she is and what she does, which her apothecary actually helps the other inhumans in the town kind of help stay under the radar. And Lou knows there's a whole lot more to the story, but she has to kind of gain trust with Isla and also trust Isla to tell her own story. So I'm going to be reading from a scene that takes place after some crazy shit goes down. And Lou ends up getting hurt, and Isla starts to finally tell the truth. And, well, let's just say Lou isn't necessarily surprised by what the truth is. I'm a witch. And maybe Lou should have acted more surprised because Isla looked mad. I'm serious. So am I, Lou said with a shrug, Isla glaring even harder at her. I don't appreciate being mocked. I'm not mocking you. Lou stood and rested her hand on Isla's shoulder. Her skin was chilled. Your story isn't exactly not witchy. You make stuff to heal people, you burn stuff to cleanse spaces, and you have Daria, who wears black all the time. She held her breath, hoping to hear a laugh, and blew it out slowly when Isla chuckled. So does Christopher, actually. Okay, that's fair, but I'm afraid what you're accepting is not what I mean when I say I'm a witch. She struggled to come up with the right words to tell Isla she knew without being straightforward and saying she knew. I think witch says it all. Here, Isla said, pressing her fingertip to Lou's teacup. I want to take my time, but I'm drinking it. Isla kept her eyes on Lou's, and in less than 10 seconds, the cup and tea were heated to almost boiling. Ow, wow, okay. Lou placed the cup down and started waving her hand. She looked at Isla skeptically. You just did that. Isla nodded and looked scared. When I was 16, I was in love, and I told my girlfriend about me and my family and our abilities. Your whole family can do this, she said, pointing to the mug. I come from a long line of witches and warlocks, all very powerful. Witches and warlocks. She had heard the stories 100 times, but Lou felt underprepared for hearing the truth. She wished Isla hadn't told her. What happened? She lost it, told me I was a freak, and then told anyone who'd listen. My family was tormented and forced to move. That's horrible. The horrible part was my mom and dad not wanting me to go with them. They left me here with my grandmother and told me to deal with my mess. Isla shrugged. They said my uncle disappeared and that was my fault too. Now Lou wanted to beat up the ex-girlfriend and Isla's parents. That's the opposite of what parents are supposed to do. How are you still so nice after all that? My grandmother taught me we all have to make a choice. You're dealt your cards, and whether they're good or bad, it's up to you to decide how to interpret them. The bad could be a life lesson that helps you grow into a better person, or a path that'll lead you into the darkness. I never wanted the darkness. Your grandmother sounds like a smart woman. The smartest. Isla's eyes started to water. I can't believe you're still here. She let out a hollow laugh. I'm here for the tea. Isla's laugh turned genuine. You should really finish that. If you do, I'll read your tea leaves for you. Read my tea leaves. It's an ancient practice. When you brew loose leaf tea, it leaves bits and pieces in the bottom of the mug. They can reveal a lot about the drinker. I don't know if I believe in that. Isla sat down and presented Lou's tea to her once more. You don't really know until you try it, right? Sounds like something I told my first girlfriend. She saw amusement in Isla's eyes, but she knew she wasn't off the tea leaf hook yet. She should not agree to do this, but Isla looked at her expectantly and she was powerless. She took the cup and sat back down. So that's why you won't get into relationships. Bingo. I didn't want to risk that happening again. I couldn't trust like that and put more people in danger. He didn't want anyone else to leave or get hurt. Well, yeah, but joke's on me. You got hurt. Yeah, did you happen to see the asshole who knocked me out? That was Henry. Who's Henry? Lou finished all but a mouthful of her tea and placed the mug down with more force than necessary. She was starting to get very agitated. You'd probably recognize him from coming into the shop. He's a customer? And tangled up in this? I don't understand. Isla started rubbing circles on her temple. I barely understand it myself. They're recruiting other non-humans and starting a revolution. No, that's not good, she said without thinking. Maybe it will be. I don't know. It just goes against my upbringing. Non-humans. Inhumans, non-humans, whatever you want to call us. Isla sank into the couch, leaning back on her elbow, exuding a level of relaxation Lou only dreamed of. Henry's a werewolf, Isla said nonchalantly. Of course he is. Lou's mind reeled and she tried to figure out what this all meant for her. Who else? Isla pursed her lips and blew out a breath. There's roughly 170 non-humans living in Bender. Jesus. Jesus is not one of them. Lou stared at Isla with an open mouth. You know them all? Pretty much. I started my business to help them. Up until tonight, I believed we all wanted to live our lives with no conflict between us and humans. To me, that meant keeping quiet and living under the radar. A lot of humans think they know we exist, but we only see what we want to see. Believing and knowing facts are different. Isla leaned forward and picked up the mug. Are you ready? Ready as I'll ever be. It's the laws of magic.
I love that. And I love the trope of the doubter when you're in paranormals. They have to be convinced.
Yeah.
That's always
Yeah, like no, yes, no, can't be.
So, okay, a question for you. Do you believe in reading tea leaves?
So I actually did a decent amount of research on the topic. I should not believe in it just based off of like what it is,
Mhm.
but I mean, why not? I would love to have it done to really be able to know whether or not I believe in it. Because is it like one of those things where it's like such vague answers that anybody can apply it to themselves and be like, "Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
I did almost get into a car accident within the last 4 years." Like, so I would really like to experience it. I think it would be cool.
All right, that may be another thing we put on the bucket list for Provincetown. It feels like a good place to get a tea leaf reading, P-Town.
I bet you could. I bet you could. If not, maybe Aurora Ray picked that up too. I feel like that seems like something up her alley. She's done the tarot before. She's done all those things. So maybe we could ask her if she'll pick it up.
All right. That sounds awesome. We're gonna do it. Okay, so as we just heard, the laws of magic is a
Mhm.
paranormal. Um,
Mhm.
what inspired this idea for you? Why choose to write a paranormal romance?
Well, I hadn't done it before. And I do like to change things up and try different things from time to time. But actually my girlfriend was probably well was the biggest inspiration for this one. So she's a witch. And she said to me one day, she was like, write me a witch book. And of course, like ideas just start going in my head. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I love the movie Practical Magic. Like there's so many things that like have had such like an impact on my life that involved witches and everything. I mean, come on, Hocus Pocus. And we're all so excited for Hocus Pocus 2. So I was like, there's so many ways that I could do this. And I was like, all right, challenge accepted. Let's write a witch book.
Awesome. So is Isla anything like Lindsay?
Yes. I almost tried to be cool and like deny it, but yeah. Yeah,
There are some
absolutely.
similarities there. That's cool.
Yeah, there's I am nothing like Lou though. I'm not dashing or smooth in the ways that she is, nor am I brave in the way that she is. I will let everybody else handle the paranormal emergencies. Thank you.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so this being a paranormal,
Mhm,
there are, as you mentioned, like non-humans or inhumans,
mhm,
that they have some traits that are a little
mhm,
different
mhm.
from humans. So I'm always interested in how authors create this world and what those traits are.
So a lot of the other Inhumans are in the back of the casting. But what I really enjoyed doing was just incorporating them into everyday lives. So there's a pub in town that's run by vampires.
Mm.
So the vampires own the pub, and the bouncers are like the more popular guys that you hear a little bit about. I think I have the werewolves as like they wanted to be teachers, but they weren't sure if they could be teachers. So they're all just incorporated in just everyday society.
Mhm.
And that to me is one of my favorite types of paranormal storytelling, almost like True Blood, where they were, vampires were just around, but they were almost treated like the way that like gay people were treated in
Mm.
society, where like they were like kind of shunned, but like most people were like, no, it's cool. They can just drink their artificial blood at the bar and just hang with us. It's totally cool. But I have a shapeshifter in there.
Mm.
She just like hangs out and just does her thing. But Isla kind of helps treat them to keep all of their those qualities tamped down so that they can just live with humans and not have to worry about suddenly morphing into, a werewolf when they don't
Yeah.
want to.
So that was my next question. Is it are they out as inhuman? Like do the humans know they exist? And is there, um does everyone get along, or is there some strife?
They are mostly under wraps.
Mm.
So in Bender, Massachusetts, I wanted to kind of get that feeling of like a Salem, Massachusetts, but I didn't want to be too on the nose with it. Um, they fly under the radar, but the humans talk about the stories of, oh, I heard X, Y, and Z one night. What was it? Or you hear about one of Lou's experiences where she was in the desert with the Air Force and had like an experience. And it's like they know that these things exist, but like in the reading, you know, we only see what we want to see.
Yeah.
And we only believe it could be, you could be slapped in the face with something, but if you don't want to believe it, you're gonna bypass all the facts that are in front of your face to just believe what's most comfortable for you.
Oh my gosh, that's so deep. That could like explain so much of
Yeah.
politics and social media right now.
That's actually was one of the top things that I was thinking about with this book is like, you're gonna believe what you're fed, but what you want to anyway. And that is so true of our media climate,
Yeah.
especially the last, we're gonna say 6 years,
Yeah.
like big time. And it was really one of the biggest inspirations of that.
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay, so let's move on to Lou and Isla. This is very much an opposites attract
Very much.
trope here. So I'm interested in what ways are there opposites and how are those things attractive?
I would say Lou is ex-military, and I feel like that shines through in like everything that she does. She is very minimalistic. She has her family in her life, and she is truly loyal to them, but she doesn't really have much else. She's loyal to her job, she's loyal to her family, she's loyal to her dog Samson. She makes sure that she is home to feed him dinner at the same time every night because then he gets hangry. Her apartment is pretty bare. There's really not a lot of over the top personality when it comes to like her living space and stuff like that. And Isla is the opposite. She's basically like a walking rainbow when it comes to her personality is in everything. She may not be, hey, I'm a witch all the time, but her personality and her beliefs are right on the surface and they are there all the time. And I think those opposites right there, automatically you have the person living boldly and then the person who's kind of like a little more subdued. Lou is also big with, you know, honesty, and Isla hides a little bit, but you know, Lou's whole story isn't right in Isla's face either.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's also a couple scenes where they kind of bicker too because their personalities are just opposite in the sense of Lou doesn't fully understand how Isla could be living to just avoid being in a romantic relationship because to Lou you can't control it. But to Isla, you can control everything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like there's some deep themes going on here. I like it.
I try.
So please do check out The Laws of Magic. It is out now everywhere books are sold. Thank you so much, Ullrich. It's been
Thank you. Always.